All right, I'm recording now.
Awesome.
Thank you.
No worries at all. I know how it goes, a lot of moving parts.
Yeah.
So, my name is Kelly Carlisle. I'm the founder and executive director of Acta Non Verba Youth Urban Farm Project, and this is my presentation on urban farming, healing, and youth of color. So, I'll tell you the story of how we got started, but I wanted to start with words from Chief Luther Standing Bear. The old Lakota was wise. He knew that men's heart away from nature becomes hard. He knew that lack of respect for growing living things soon led to lack of respect for humans too. This was one of the quotes that came to me as I started thinking about growing things, growing an organization, growing food with kids, and growing my child. This, as I was just trying to figure out which way to take my life, this quote jumped out at me. And so it's kind of been one of our guiding principles. So, I did not come from farming. I came from Berkeley by way of East Oakland, by way of Albany, California, and thought that growing your own food, like the idea of growing our own food for my family was so bizarre to me. My parents one summer grew like a ton of tomatoes in our backyard, and I thought they were the biggest freaks ever, right? Like, just who does that? Like, I'm definitely not going to eat any of those tomatoes, Mom. They don't have a sticker on them, right? So, nobody could tell me any different. Like, definitely disconnected from food and farming and all of that. So, I got out of the Navy in 2005 and immediately got a corporate job and thought that's where it was at, right? I was a great consumer, a great American when, when they were saying, when Bush was saying to, go out there and spend, I was spending my ass off, I was just doing the thing and had some really great shoes to show for it. But, and me being a good person or a part of a community never factored into it. So then the economic downturn happened, the housing crisis, and I was laid off also. And I think that's probably what you felt, Phoenix, when we met, was like my deep empathy and understanding for the depression that comes from, through no fault of your own, you've lost a position that, sustained you and sustained my family. And so I was unemployed for what felt like a very, very long time, and ended up in a store, like, it was summertime. I couldn't afford daycare, which meant that I couldn't really afford to go out and look for more work, right? Like, I think monster.com was a thing, but they were only looking for like coders and like, web people. I was definitely not a web person. So, trying to find something for my daughter and I to do, ended up at a store because it had air conditioning. And that store also had a nursery attached to it. So just in the store, no money, no real money, exploring the store, and came across the nursery. I just realized that I had never been in a nursery. So walked through and saw this tiny little lemon tree, and the lemon or I saw this little tree and it had a lemon attached to it. And I didn't believe that the lemon belonged there. I thought, this is Oakland. Somebody put this stupid lemon on here. Damn you, Oakland. Is there nothing that you won't vandalize? And tried to pull the lemon off the tree and discovered that it was attached. And I was like, oh snap, I think this is a lemon tree. And my child, who was 3, was like, duh, Mom, it has a lemon on it. And I was like, it's that easy, huh? So I bought the tree, I brought it home and put it in a giant garbage can with some compost. And I needed, all the help in the world from the nursery clerk to know that I needed more soil than it came with and all this stuff. So I put it all together and dared the tree to grow more. And it grew 2 more lemons, giant lemons, and I was in love. Like, you know, when I talk to kids, I say, you know, that was my Harry Potter moment. That was when I knew that I had it within me to do something bigger and different than myself, right? I can produce food that people can actually eat. Not me, because it still didn't have a sticker, but people loved it. And so I would end up giving away all the produce to my neighbors, and, you know, and then going to the grocery store and buying it all because I needed mine to have the sticker. Mistakes in growing. You know, when I tell you that I didn't grow up understanding that, like, intellectually, like on paper, I knew that food is grown on a farm, right? But since I had never seen a farm and I had never seen anything, you know, really grow from seed to fruit, I had no idea what the stages of growth were. So I ended up going back to the same nursery after, you know, buying up all the different starts. Not yet.
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
It's okay. Buying up all the starts of things that I thought I would eat. And yelling at the same store clerk, like, I don't know what you sold me, but I asked for tomatoes and all I'm getting are yellow flowers, like just a ton of yellow flowers everywhere. And I don't want flowers, I want tomatoes. So I'm gonna need my money back, you know? And she laughed at me and I got even more enraged, right? Why are you laughing? You knew. And she's like, oh, wait, you're serious? Oh, no. I'm so sorry. The flowers are where the fruit's gonna come. And I'm like, every single flower is a tomato? She's like, yeah. And I was like, what else comes from flowers? And she like walked me around the nursery and showed me all the things, like almonds and cherries and all these different things that I never put together, right? Like the idea that fruit comes from flowers was like soul shaking to me. And I mean, it went so fast after that. Like I filled up the whole back patio with things in garbage cans because they were cheaper than planters. Things in garbage cans all over my backyard or back patio. And eventually it got to the point where I couldn't afford rent anymore. And so I moved all of those plants and my daughter and I to my parents' house here in Berkeley and made them like the best garden ever. And my mother absolutely knew what to do with all the produce that I wouldn't eat. She definitely was cooking it all up for us. So thank goodness. And as I started learning how to grow, I realized like it did something for me. It created a solace or a balm for shame that I felt around, you know, personal shit, like, you know, a failed marriage or how, you know, how little I know about my community or, you know, being in this military and then, you know, after the fact, understanding that, you know, we really weren't saving anyone from anything, right? We were just there to protect oil, you know, like it was all these different things that I had shame about that I didn't even know until I went ahead and, until I started growing and started understanding and feeling empowered to produce living things, to nurture something from seed or seedling all the way to fruition. And I have here that it made me become a better mom in person because it was through the process of growing my first plants that I understood just how big the world is, but also being a part of something much bigger than consumerism, right? Something much bigger. I'm part of this, part of a community of people that understand feeding and nurturing other people. It made me a better mom because up until that point, you know, it just kind of felt like Kaya was another thing. My daughter's name is Kaya. Kaya was another thing to do, like, you know, get an oil check, you know, feed the kid, you know, like pay your bills, get the kid clothes, you know, like she just felt like another duty to figure out rather than a living being that I had the privilege and responsibility to nurture and cultivate and fill with good and light, right? As opposed to like, plop her in front of Dora the Explorer and be like, good luck to you. Hope you pick up Spanish. So 2010, I'm living with my parents and a bunch of news stories come out at the same time. Oakland being listed as the 5th most dangerous city in the US, teen prostitution being on the rise. And the one that took my breath away was an almost 40% dropout rate in the city of Oakland. And for me, all of these things were related, like if you're dropping out of school, like, of course, what else can you do? Like if, I'm sorry, I see, what does that mean, please?
What does what mean?
Oh, I'm sorry, I saw a question jump up. Yeah, the 40% dropout rate. So it turns out that.
Oh, I think maybe explain what that means. 40% high school, people not graduating high school, right?
But not just high school. I learned through building Acta Non Verba that most youth leave school before the 8th grade. Or they even leave middle school. They don't even get to high school. And that's really soul crushing to me, because the idea of, what you know from an educational standpoint, from an institutional standpoint, is 8th grade. Like imagine all the things that they're missing out on, all the great books, all the great conversations, all the context for why we are where we are, right? And so I started Acta Non Verba over wine and laundry. And and
what does Acta Non Verba mean, Kelly?
Acta Non Verba is Latin for deeds, not words. And I was looking for a name that really spoke to what our work would be. There are so many nonprofits doing such great work, including policy, including, advocacy and those things. That's not what we do. We do direct service. We do deeds, not just words. There's lots of words that have come up in the last 10 years, but our main focus are the deeds. So I've spent the last 10 years of my blood cultivating my people. And I put my land, but it's public land. I'll tell you more about the farms in the next slide. So we now have 3 farms in the city of Oakland. Tassafaronga Farm, that's the bottom.
That's the one where I went, right?
Yes, yep, yeah. Tassafaronga Park. Wow Farm in West Oakland, that's the top middle picture. And we have a small demonstration farm at the Oakland A's Stadium. That's the bottom middle picture. And none of these are over a 1/4 acre. Tassafaronga Park, the farm at Tassafaronga is a 1/4 acre, which makes it our largest farm. And we have been working it for all it's worth. We wanted to create a sanctuary in deep East Oakland for children to come and ask questions and be curious and get their hands dirty, and to, again, like feel the same sense of empowerment of planting something, nourishing it, cultivating it, and reaping the reward. Because I think that so many things that our kids do, there's no end to it, right? There's no at the end of a season, at the end of a month, at the end of a certain number of weeks. Like video games just keep going, but there's no like actual tangible thunk, I did that. And I think that's one of the things that kids are attracted to. I think also being able to get out of the house with this pandemic, the first thing that I thought of when the shelter in place order was put in place and was sustained for more than 2 weeks are, there's gonna be so much domestic violence, and there's gonna be so much abuse of children that have no control over what their environments are now, right? Like so for children like myself, school was the refuge, you know? So we had the farm open for any kids that needed a place. And we've done that for 10 years now.
Mm.
Thank you. So what so what we discovered very quickly was that farming doesn't have the same kind of allure that it has for me, right? Like the kids definitely get something out of planting and harvesting and being shocked by zucchinis and so on, and peppers, you know, but what is magic in the time of Xbox, you know? What is magic in the time of PlayStation? So we realized that we were going to have to expand what we do beyond just being on the farm for, you know, 3 hours a week or whatever. We had to figure out what else to pack in around it. So in addition to Acta Non Verba's farm, I didn't tell you what our work is there. So in a normal year, not a COVID year, children come through all year round. We have 4 major programs, Camp A&V and A&V's after school program that run during all of the out of school time. So 1 week in spring, 8 weeks in summer, 2 weeks, 1 week during Thanksgiving break, and 2 weeks during winter break. And again, when the kids get out of school, to help them with their homework and everything. And so the kids that participate in our programs get to work on our farm, and we sell the produce in a CSA. 100% of those profits are placed into individual savings accounts for the kids that participate. This is all because of former San Francisco Mayor Gavin Newsom's kindergarten to college program that says that kids are 6 times more likely, which is based on a study that says that kids are 6 times more likely to attend college if there is an account dedicated to their ongoing education. And so now we've opened up about 30 savings accounts in the children's names. They get their own bank statements showing how much money they've earned, how much money they've saved. We're encouraging families to, you know, do direct deposit into those accounts to help contribute to their child's future. And while we're not making any kind of demands that kids go to college with this money, the money is for furthering their educational pursuits. We want them to, you know, if you're interested in piano lessons, we want to help you pay for piano lessons. If you want to take the PSAT or the SAT, we want to help pay for those things. We want to help in any way we can to expand the scope of what kids know, what kids see, what kids experience, and what they're exposed to. And so in that same vein, when we understood that no child wanted to just hang out on the farm all summer, we included things like swimming and dance and drumming and art, and we had Spanish classes at one point. You know, we did all this enrichment and cooking. I forgot about the cooking. So the kids harvest the produce. Again, this is in a normal year. The kids harvest the produce during the summertime and bring it into the kitchen, and we have a chef there that helps them, you know, make their own lunches and snacks directly from the farm. It's really cool. But we, I don't know if you can click on the beekeeping. So these are baby beekeepers. This is how they get This is how we beekeep in East Oakland.
Right?
And
so cute.
So, you know, on the farm, we have things like beekeeping and harvesting, and we have 4 different ways that we're composting, vermicomposting, all these different things. And then the top right, the one that the little boy is holding up worms, we go camping twice a summer. And so we've expanded from our outdoor education from just farming just farming to, you know, going on these 3-day, 2-night camping trips with kids that have, in some cases, have never slept away from home before. And so it's really, this little guy was obsessed with the worms that he could find at Tilden. It was very, very funny. This is just one of, I don't know, 30 pictures that I find. I know, I keep forgetting it has sound too. And in the bottom one, that's one of our camps at TASA, that where, you know, we want the kids to know that they're part of a loving, supportive community. We don't know what's going on at home. We don't know what, you know, what else is happening in your world. But when you're at Acta Non Verba, you're a part of a community that cares about all of you. Thank you. So you might have seen our community field trip listed in the last slide. That's this picture at the top left. Every year for the last 4-5 years, we've gathered community members from East Oakland, and last year we added public housing, other public housing, to go out to nature. We went to Point Reyes in this photo. We go out to nature. We talk about climate change. We talk about who the first peoples were here, and we take family photos, family holiday photos. And this is the family that's been coming to these for the last 5 years, every year. It's really cool.
That is cool.
Again, oh, sorry.
Should I go to the next one?
Not yet.
Okay.
That's okay. The bottom left is a little girl learning about dandelions, being, you know, turning from the flower into the little poof. Yeah, thank you. And again, another child learning how to set up their own tent. This is a nature walk that we took in the Presidio with rangers. And when we do our work, we really ask and work hard as much as we can to make sure that the people that are front facing, the kids, the people that are talking to the kids and showing knowledge and being subject matter experts, reflect the communities that we serve. Sometimes that's not possible, but we ask every time, and we let the folks that we're asking, in this case, the National Park Rangers, let them know why it's so important. We want our youth to see themselves being more than just singers, ball players, cops, you know, like we want them to see themselves having a career in nature, having a career in farming, having a career in science, having a career in whatever it is that they want to do. We want to let them know that they're never limited to a stereotype. We let them know that, you know, you can do all of this. Tell us what you want to do and we'll figure it out. We have kids that are very into, that think that they're into horseback riding. And so we're trying to work with the Black Cowboys Association to, you know, get them to bring their horses to TASA and let the kids try it. You know, we can't promise lessons, but we can promise that, you know, you can see what being on the back of a horse feels like. And this is one of our dinners when we went camping, and our camp counselor, Anthony, there being Salt Bay, which just everybody giggle. Thank you. And so some of our overarching themes are, you can do anything. Like I just said, you know, you're not limited to what other people think that you need to be, whether that's, you know, in entertainment or in sports or, you know, a housewife or whatever, you know. You belong wherever you are. I'm not sure how many of you follow Rue Mapp, who is the founder and executive director of Outdoor Afro, but, you know, she's really cast a light on how difficult folks of color find it to go and be in nature, right? It doesn't feel like we belong. We don't see ourselves there. And so this is, that second picture is a picture of a camping trip we took last summer. We rented boats and took it out on Del Val, and this was the kids and the mom. The kids and the mom's reaction, you know, like they had never done anything like this before, and they just, you know, felt so free and so good to be where they were. You are loved. This third picture is a picture of two of our campers comforting each other, you know, because, you know, one of them was scared to be out in the woods. Now we're in the Presidio, but there were trees and we were sleeping in tents. So, you know, she was nervous about being there. And the older camper has been with us for years and years as well, and was just comforting her and letting her know that it's all going to be okay. Like we do this every year. We're really safe and we know what we're doing. And then the fourth picture is our farm manager, Aaron De La Cerda, teaching archery. And one of the things that we lost because of COVID is this was going to be the first year that we were actually authorized to teach archery. Before we were just, you know, Aaron and I were instructing, like, you know, this is how I do it. You know? Right. This year we actually got certified to teach archery to our kids, which is, again, something that we just don't see, at least in the flatlands. We tell them, you know, you're strong, you can do it, you know, even if you have to, you know, change up the way that you pull the bow, right? Like you can do it. You have it in you to do anything. And here's just a little bit of information about me.
A lot of honors. We see a lot of honors there. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Lifting you up. Thank you so much. I'm going to stop sharing the screen right now.
Thank you.
And I was getting very emotional because considering what is happening right now, I was almost starting to cry when she was sharing about the experiences of the children, and it's emotional for me. I'm gonna try not to cry right now, but I'm so glad that I'm here, and I'm so glad for you, and it's very emotional for me right now. So, woo.
Thank you, Phoenix. It is such a blessing to have someone that really believes in the work as much as you do, you know, and really understands why, you know, teaching kids how to code is great. Kids should learn all that there is, you know, like I tell my daughter, learn everything, you know, like everything that's available to you, learn it, great. But also remember that we're humble, we are people, we have to care for the earth that we stand on. I thank you for bringing ecotherapy to all of us and for inviting me.
Thank you so much. I want to open it up for questions or comments. Just put your hand up or whatever, and you can jump right in. But one of the things that I wanted to say is that, woo, this is very powerful for me. And I've been in the field of ecotherapy for a while. There aren't that many Black Americans in the field. And one of the things that I constantly say is that there are so many people that are doing some form of ecotherapy, but they don't call it that. And the power of being able to connect with nature for healing for diverse communities, it's more than needed right now. It is the balm that we all need for healing. And the work that Kelly is doing, I think we forgot to put up that slide, or maybe I forgot. I want you to, if you can put in the chat box, Kelly, I want you to send some money to Acta Non Verba, even if it's $5. I want you to invest in the future of Kelly's work and her children and the children that come there. Give money. That is what they need. in order to be able to sustain this. And if you could see how she weaves together the metaphor of growing and planting and farming and nurturing the children. They create savings accounts for them, right? I mean, this is not just a place where people go and farm. This is where people are building character and creating community and connection. So I want you to send some money, $10, $5, whatever you can send. So when I call you, you say your name and where you're from, and then go ahead. So Jess, go ahead. Jess, can you hear me?
Hi, yeah, thanks. Hi, Kelly. Well, hi, everybody. And hi, Kelly. It's lovely to hear your story. I know well the successes of social and therapeutic horticulture, not so much for children, but for adults with mental health issues. And it knocks me off my feet every time. So I get the emotion behind it all. I just wanted to ask, where do you get your funding? Are you state funded, or is it through donations or through grant applications? It takes a lot of money to run. Well, it doesn't take a huge amount of money to run these projects, but from what you're doing, it looks like it's, you know, you must need quite a lot to do what you're doing.
Yeah. So to answer your question, we're mostly grant funded. We haven't yet received a state grant, a small county grant a few years ago, but most of our money comes from private foundations and individual donors.
Fair play, great. Keep it going.
Thank you.
And where are you, Jess? Where are you located? Tell us.
I'm in Brighton, and I run the Centre for Ecotherapy here, and we do social and therapeutic horticulture and ecotherapy for predominantly adults with mental and physical health issues. I've been running youth ecotherapy and cooking with young people, young offenders, young people with learning difficulties for the last couple of years. And we're sort of trying to develop that program because, yeah, I believe ecotherapy for young people is the way to go, specifically because they're very hard to, they don't access psychotherapy and counseling and talking therapies very easily. It's not something that they align with, but you know, young people and nature is a very close connection. They're still within their imagination and within their much more natural connection to nature. So I think, you know, if you catch them young, you can really give them strength, you know, or help them achieve strength within themselves. Yeah, so, you know, I love what you're doing. That sounds fantastic. It looks fantastic, Kelly. Really great to see.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Jess. Like I follow Jess's work on the interwebs, and you know, ecotherapy is much.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, is much more known in the UK, in Canada, in Australia, and New Zealand. And I've been telling people, they are already doing this in the UK. They have systems set up. We need this here. So I'm so happy to see you again, Jess. Thank you so much. Does anyone else have a comment or question? Catherine, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. Hi, in particular, Kelly, Felix, Linda. Thank you so much for that. That was just incredible. And I'm just about managed to gather myself and collect myself after that. I am from an organisation in the UK. I'm in Wolverhampton in the West Midlands, middle of nowhere. And I run a very small social enterprise called Humanima CIC, where I work as a counsellor offering counselling with the option of animal-assisted therapy. So I'm from the other side of things, so to speak. But I've had a long-standing interest in ecotherapy, ecopsychology, care farming, which is an umbrella term that's used across the board now to encompass very much horticultural therapy, animal-assisted therapy, and everything in between. I'm wondering how you've managed to communicate apart from anything else, your power of storytelling is just phenomenal. It totally sucks you in and you are incredible. but I'd love to know how you've managed to carry the story of what you're doing and the social impact of what you're doing across the different levels of who you're needing to reach. So not just the people that you're needing to reach to do the action, to have the profound social impact, but to communicate the story to the people whose help or support or recognition you need, whether it's academic, whether it's local government, whether it's universities, from all the different spheres of life, community, social, ecology, the whole lot. How have you found communicating across those different levels? Because that's something I've struggled with.
I think that
I hope that made sense.
It did, yeah. You know, first I should tell you that there is a nonprofit storytelling conference. I don't know, you know, if you get to the States sometime, but
I'd love to.
I did that last year. And, you know, it was nice to, I guess, be validated for what I already kind of do. The story tells itself, you know, like the folks from all...
Oh, come on, you're being too humble now. You can own it, you know.
I mean, I think a lot about, like, I don't know who said it, but, you know, whenever, like, marketing, right, they have to market to folks with an 8th grade level, right? Like, no matter who's gonna buy, you know, Budweiser, right? Like, they have to market it to an 8th grade thinking level, right? So it can't be too off the charts. To be honest with you, we just, for the first time ever, at the end of last week, started a partnership, or started a proposal for a partnership with Lawrence Berkeley Labs, which is the, you know, one of the highest academic, you know,
oh yeah,
in our area. But until then, you know, like, it's been hard to, like, bring in colleges. You know, mostly we have people that want to write about us for their you know, senior thesis or whatever it is, right? But, like, you know, there's not really a whole lot of connection with colleges and universities. Healthcare folks are like, yeah, but medicine, right? So we, in expanding our CSA, we now have a partnership with Children's Hospital, where they decided to do a food as medicine pilot and pay us to, you know, bring the CSA to their folks. So what I'm trying to say is that the messaging doesn't really change. For me, I tell the same lemon tree story. I tell the same, you know, like, what I have learned is, you know, when my colleague and friend Phoenix asked me to do this talk, I decided not to use a whole lot of cuss words. I decided not to, you know, like, play up my knowledge of Dora the Explorer and Word Girl and PBS shows, you know, like, you know what I mean? So that's how I modulate it. I want to honor Phoenix and her invitation by not talking like I talk to the community college folks that come to the farm, you know, and I want to honor you by not talking to you like you're 5th graders that come to the farm to learn what we do.
I suppose that what you're saying, though, really does give testament to the fact that Acta Non Verba is you, and you are Acta Non Verba, and you're at the heart of it, and it's your storytelling and how you've communicated that's really made this blossom. So hats off to you.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Any other comments or questions, or anybody have anything?
I'm here for all of it, please.
I have a quick question.
Go ahead.
Hi, so I'm Michelle, and I work with EBALD-C, and we actually have a youth program at our affordable housing property, Line Creek Crossings, down the street in East Oakland. Yeah, and I don't know if you remember, but my colleague Adrian Smith-White, I believe, might have met with you before about a garden we were trying to start at our property. And, you know, it's come back around again because we're really interested in doing it. But our main struggles are about like having a water source, I think is the main issue. And it's technically like OHA's land, but I mean, it's not really their land. It's someone, yeah, we know whose land it is, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
You know, so we're really looking deeply into it again. And I've really wanted to, we've never really officially met. I've run the programs there for 9 years, but we really haven't had the capacity to expand in the direction that we've wanted. And right now, more than ever, it's so important for us to teach our youth how to grow their food and, you know, nurture the earth. And we really want to get more involved and, you know, maybe work more with Acta Non Verba. And even if it's, these are crazy times right now, you know, with the sheltering in place, but we are Zooming with our after school still every day. Actually, in a few minutes, we do like a 3 to 5 every day. But it would be really cool. I was just like thinking to do a plant distribution so they could have them for their patios at least. And, you know, and also like some interest in if you do workshops or, you know, someone could come on Zoom and just like do a thing about growing plants and stuff like that with the youth.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
I'm happy to talk about all of that. And like I said, this has been the most buck wild year I've ever, like, even with all of my Stephen King, I'm a huge Stephen King fan. I've read everything he's ever written. Even Stephen King don't have shit on this year. Like, but I say that to say, I think the December is open for us in terms of programming, and I would love to circle back with you around then.
Sure, thank you. Great.
Thank you so much. I want to say, as an ecotherapist, one of the roles that I see of an ecotherapist is to provide support to organizations like Acta Non Verba, in helping them develop programming, and helping them to raise money, and helping to translate to healthcare audiences, to psychotherapists and organizations that may not traditionally fund an organization like this. We can come in and help to use the nomenclature of public health. I have 25 years of public health and have experience in writing grants, and to show the benefit that this is a social benefit for the community. As Jess was saying, it's where young people, and not only young people, but in the United States, there's a very big stigma for Black Americans and for certain Latinx communities around accessing mental health care. There's a cultural stigma, but also there is an access issue. If you don't have health insurance, or even if you do, less than 10% of psychologists in the United States are Black or of African descent or Latino descent. Less than 15% of licensed social workers and counselors are Black or of African American or African or Latino descent. So it's a huge issue. It's a cultural competency issue. And so I see ecotherapy as an entryway, right? It can support traditional psychotherapy, but why have people just sit and wait on a waiting list to get a therapist? We can instead be able to say, here, your therapy for today is we're going to send you to Acta Non Verba. We have a trained ecotherapist there that is going to sit with you in the garden and just have a therapy session. So that is something that I know can happen and will happen. And I'm working towards that on a larger scale with people like Linda Bazell and other people, so that one, it can build the capacity of Acta Non Verba to increase and diversify their funding and provide more mental health care, social support for not only the children, but their parents that are hella stressed out too.
Yes.
Right? So, you know, that's how I see ecotherapy. The field needs to expand that way in the United States. It can't stay this white middle class kind of thing that it has been for a long time. And that's why I wanted to show the work and highlight the efforts that Kelly is presenting here in my community where I live. Does anyone else have any comments or questions? It's about 2:58. Oh, Victoria. Hey, Victoria.
Hello, good morning from Australia. I'm just out of my tent.
That's where my baby was made.
I would love to hear some tips about taking adults into nature, adults who are unfamiliar with being in nature, and what are their needs, fears. I might have the opportunity to do it soon with a refugee audience that I think are primarily from the Middle East, from Syria. I've done stuff with kids in nature, but never adults, and I really I'd love to hear a few tips about what works, what doesn't. That's my question.
Sure. This is one of the things that I think I'm most proud of. You know, I'm in desperate need of a sabbatical. But because like the list of things that I am proud of keeps like shrinking, you know, like I did that, yeah, but it was 5 years ago, you know. One of the things I'm most proud of is the huge increase in getting our parents and grandparents to come camping with us. That was never a thing. For the first, our camp this is our 8th year in existence. In the last 2 years, we've seen a boom in adults coming with their campers. And I think one reason is because we moved it from the middle of the week to the weekend. We leave on Friday and come back on Sunday before folks have to get ready for work. We go to places that are close enough for family members to come and meet us there after work, or, you know, if they have to go to work during the day on Saturday, they can come back and have dinner with us. I think that, you know, really getting the kids jazzed about going, and like inviting the parents. It's never mandatory that parents come. It's always an option, right? Like, join us if you can, and we provide everything. We provide tents, sleeping bags, sleeping mats, all the food for all the meals. You know, are you vegetarian? No problem. You know, like we have all the different things covered, right? We have s'mores, we have campfires, you know. Like sometimes, you know, folks are like, can I bring my bourbon or whatever? And I'm like, you know, no, but wink, you know, whatever you have. I'm not gonna chase you down, right? Just don't.
Right.
And we haven't had anybody get crazy, you know, and it's really making sure that folks feel like kind of at home in the outdoors, you know. Parents were really freaking out that their kids were going to be sleeping outside, and you know, we emphasize, you're not sleeping outside, you're sleeping in a tent, a real tent. This is not, you know, we're not putting, it's not a blanket fort, you know. Like, it's real actual camping, right? And again, like we never go more than an hour outside of where most of our kids come from. So, you know, the closer, the better. So that, you know, we're in East Oakland, but we always go to Tilden, which is about 20 minutes away in Berkeley, right? So folks can, you know, parents don't have to be scared that they can't get to their child if something happens, you know. Yeah, I hope that answered your question. Like I said, I'm proud of it, so I could tell you all the things.
Thank you so much. Is there one more comment or question before we wrap up? I'm going to wait to see if someone new first, Jess, has a question.
Okay. It was just a response to Victoria, but.
Oh, go ahead, Jess, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, sort of similarly to Kelly, but a fire. If you want to, in taking adults outside, if you can incorporate a fire in some way, and even better, some food made on that fire, you know, you can create magic that way. It's shocking how few people have that opportunity, and sometimes even that experience at all in their lives, and yet it gets them fundamentally deep inside. So that would be my suggestion: fire and food.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Jess. So we're going to close now. If you are on this, everybody who's on this will receive a follow-up email and information about the future, the work that we're doing. And again, I encourage you to follow Kelly on social media.
Follow Acta Non Verba. Don't follow Kelly. Follow
Oh, I'm sorry. Acta Non Verba. I'm sorry. That's right. Acta Non Verba. Could you put in the chat again, like your social media again and your donate so people can see it? Please give what you can to Acta Non Verba. I also want to thank the funder of this series that allowed me to do this for free for 2 weeks. It's a program called Recast through the city of Oakland. I don't know if any of their staff are here, but Stephanie Montgomery is the director, and she gave me a small grant that allowed me to put this together and pay, like I'll be paying Kelly a stipend for her time and her effort. And that's the strategy I've learned in my ecotherapy work is because I know how to write grants and have those relationships, I get money from organizations to support me to do these kinds of things. And to offer it, to make it accessible to as many people as possible. But thank you so much. This just nurtured my heart so much. I love you, Kelly. I appreciate you so much. Thank you, Andy Fisher, for coming. I appreciate you and your work and your eldership. And Linda, I appreciate you and all my new friends in the UK and Australia. I hope I see you for some of the upcoming workshops. We have another one coming on Friday. A dear friend of mine, her name is Batul. She's an indigenous queer person who is an herbalist and works as a curandera, a spiritual healer, and heals people with plants and works around ancestral trauma with plants in the land. It's going to be very rich. So I hope we can see you then on Friday. But if you have any questions, you can email me, ecosoulwisdom@gmail.com. And yeah, thank you, everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Kelly, it was wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming, everybody.